Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating, holistic framework for modern living, totally derived from the insights of technology investor and philosopher Naval Ravikant. We're going to break down his entire approach to mastering life, and we're looking at everything here, from building actual wealth to finding genuine inner peace.
Okay, let's dive right in with a pretty provocative hook. Naval outlines the ultimate goal for a human life like this. You want to be rich and happy and healthy. That's the trifecta. Now, the world constantly tells us that we have to compromise, right? Like, you have to sacrifice your health for wealth, or give up your happiness for success. But his framework establishes that everyone can, theoretically at least, achieve this complete trifecta. It's pitched as a highly practical, actionable goal.
So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The future of work. 2. Creating true wealth. 3. AI, automation, and UBI. 4. Navigating the outrage machine. And 5. Happiness as a choice. We're going to start at the micro level, zoom all the way out to society, and then return right back inward to the mind.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the future of work. Think about it. For most of human history, as hunter-gatherers, we worked for ourselves. Even when we moved into the farming era, we still worked mostly in independent family units. It was really only the industrial age that suddenly introduced this massive hierarchy of factories, bosses, and strict 9-to-5 schedules. But Naval points out something super interesting. The information age is actually reversing the industrial age. Because the internet radically lowers the cost of communicating and transacting, it's returning us to an atomized world. Basically, we can go back to working for ourselves, connecting directly with the global market to deliver our value in small, highly creative bursts.
But because we still have this huge industrial hangover, we're taught to work like cows, grazing continuously in a field from 9 to 5, just doing steady, monotonous labor. But here's the thing, human beings aren't built for that. As intellectual athletes, we are built to work like lions. We're naturally designed to sprint intensely, rest completely, and then reassess our direction.
Adopting this specific biological rhythm is exactly how you maximize the nonlinear output of your creative work. In this highly leveraged age of code and media, grinding out 40 consecutive hours just isn't what gets you paid anymore. What gets you paid is having incredibly clear judgment. So, the cycle goes like this. You start by training hard, really building up your unique skills. Then, you sprint intensely on a complex problem the moment inspiration strikes. After that, you absolutely must rest deeply to recover your cognitive resources. And finally, you take the time to reassess, just to make sure you're actually still sprinting in the right direction. It's this exact cycle that produces brilliant decisions.
Moving right along to Section 2, creating true wealth.
0. That is exactly the amount of true wealth you're going to build by simply renting out your time. Even if you're a highly paid professional, like a top-tier doctor or a lawyer, renting your time means you are fundamentally trading hours for dollars. And what happens? You will constantly upgrade your lifestyle to match your income, trapping yourself on a never-ending treadmill. Naval argues that to gain true financial freedom, meaning you no longer have to sacrifice your present for some imaginary future, you absolutely must own equity in a business. You need to own assets that literally earn while you sleep.
So how do you actually get that equity? Well, by developing what he calls specific knowledge. This is a unique combination of skill sets that feels entirely like play to you, but looks like incredibly hard work to everyone else. Imagine, say, combining a lifelong fascination with cellular biology with a self-taught talent for writing code. That unique intersection, that's your specific knowledge. You map this authentic version of yourself to something society genuinely wants, and then you amplify it using extreme leverage. That could be a podcast, a piece of code, or capital. By being completely authentically yourself, you literally eliminate all the competition. I mean, nobody can compete with you on being you.
Zooming out to the macro level now, here is Section 3, AI, automation, and UBI.
When we look at the whole artificial intelligence debate, the source material points out that we are actually nowhere near general AI, completely contrary to the popular panic you see online. Right now, we have narrow AI, which is fantastic at pattern recognition and machine learning in closed, clearly defined environments. But general AI? That requires real, unpredictable, creative thinking. The argument here is that modeling true human intelligence isn't just a simple matter of simulating digital neurons on a massive scale. It actually requires simulating complex cellular biology and real-world environmental feedback. And that is a frontier the source notes we are decades, if not centuries, away from.
Now, regarding the economic fallout of all this automation, Naval actively pushes back against Universal Basic Income, or UBI. He argues that simply handing out a base level of cash is a slide toward a system that ultimately strips individuals of their status and meaning. Instead, his alternative approach relies on utilizing technology to provide basic abundances. The idea is that by making basic housing, food, transportation, high-speed internet, and mobile phones incredibly cheap and widely available, society addresses the scarcity problem without completely bankrupting the economic engine.
All right, Section 4, Navigating the Outrage Machine.
So, traditional news used to be entirely about distributing commoditized facts, but the internet totally changed the game by creating massive centralized aggregators. To survive in this ruthless new ecosystem, the source observes that modern media has shifted heavily into entertainment and pure opinion, essentially acting as tribal shock troops. These internet platforms are engineered by top-tier scientists to literally addict users and weaponize their outrage. The source argues this pushes politics inexorably leftward in tech hubs like Silicon Valley and fundamentally turns everyday individuals into foot soldiers in a constant culture war.
Faced with this pretty bleak reality, this atomized society where individuals are largely standing alone, getting constantly bombarded by multi-billion-dollar algorithms designed to addict them and provoke nonstop anger, we have to ask a really vital question. How do you survive the modern struggle? We really need to pivot away from macro politics and this endless outrage and find a powerful personal defense mechanism to take back our own agency.
The proposed solution, it's incredibly direct. The only solution is to turn it off and concentrate on your breathing. That's it. It's a complete radical pivot away from the overwhelming noise of external, societal chaos, straight into the quiet clarity of internal micro-philosophy. You regain your control simply by opting out of the outrage entirely. Which brings us nicely to our final pillar, Section 5, Happiness as a Choice.
We are now looking at the core mechanism of our own suffering. Naval states this beautifully. Desire is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. Lowering their desires is literally the ultimate, highly actionable hack for choosing immediate happiness. Now, it's absolutely fine to have desires, but you must choose them very carefully. You pick one overwhelming desire to focus on, and you let the rest go. Think about it, you just cannot be peaceful if you're upset about your coffee being too cold while simultaneously trying to build a massive business.
So how do you actually practice letting go? Well, the source frames meditation not as some mystical guru-led practice on a mountain, but rather as absolutely necessary self-therapy. Think of your brain like an email inbox that has just been collecting unread, unresolved emotional emails for your entire life. Meditation is simply the art of sitting down and doing absolutely nothing until you process those thoughts, ultimately reaching inbox zero for your mind.
Now, as you quiet your mind, you might start asking the ultimate question, right? What is the meaning of life? But searching for a single, universal answer actually leads to a philosophical dead end known as Agrippa's trilemma. Endlessly asking why only forces you into one of three traps: an infinite regress, circular reasoning, or an arbitrary stopping point where you just say, well, because of the Big Bang, or because it's a simulation. Ultimately, the true answer is that the meaning of life is whatever you choose to make it.
We spend so much of our lives desperately chasing peace of mind. We believe that if we can just solve all of our limited external problems, more money, better relationships, fixing politics, we will finally be able to rest. But that is a complete illusion. True happiness is peace from mind. It's quieting that internal chatter and fully accepting that reality on the outside is entirely 100% neutral.
You are completely separate from everyone else. No one is ever going to experience your exact thoughts or your exact emotions. Life really is a single-player game. So if reality is truly neutral, and the meaning of life is entirely yours to define, how will you choose to play? Will you build specific knowledge, turn off that outrage machine, and consciously choose your own happiness? Keep learning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.